Sat Sri Akal, Namaste, hello, and welcome to the show called The Truth Tribe. This is your host, Ravi Tur, and today we have with us a champion of a guest, Jasmit Singh Phulka. Jasmeet, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, Jasmeet. Jasmeet, to start off this show, I'm just going to do a quick introduction for those who don't know you. The introduction for you goes as follows. So for those who don't know Jasmeet, he's a Canadian wrestling superstar. He's made huge name for himself in the international and national circuit. I have put together a list of some of his accomplishments that I would like to quickly cover here. So you've been on the Canada's national men's team for about 15 years. About 10 of that has been on the senior men's wrestling team. Recently, here in the month of May, you won a silver medal for Pan Am Championship. Last year, you won a bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games. You have won 12 times Canada national medals, 4 gold, 7 silver, 1 bronze. 5 times you have been BC High School provincial medalist, 2 gold, 2 silver, 1 bronze. 4 times Canada World Team Trials Champion, 2022 Memorial International Bronze Medalist, 2022 Canada Cup Senior Gold Medalist, 2022 Aftab Hind Bronze Medalist, 2022 Olympic Trials Champion, 2019 Canada Cup Champion. I can keep going and going. Jasmeet, but in your words, who are you and what do you do?
So I'm a wrestler at 74 kilos. I'm an Olympic freestyle wrestler for Team Canada. Like you said, it's been 15 years now. But most importantly, I would say I'm someone that leads by example on and off the mat. I don't think I'm just a wrestler. I think I'm bigger than that. And I think my purpose in life is bigger than that. So I would say I consider myself to be a role model for the youth and someone that leads by example on and off the mat and someone that's trying to pave the future for the next youth coming up so they can reach their dreams and inspire to do things that they want to do.
That's beautiful. Obviously, you're on the right track with that, Jasmeet. So question on that. Let's start off with the wrestling piece of it. Why wrestling? How did your love for the wrestling begin?
So I would say family's been involved in my... I'd say sports is involved in my family from day one. I think it was always there. Back in India, my parents, my grandpa, everyone really liked sports. And my dad was an athlete himself. And then coming here, my brother actually saw a flyer at his middle school that just had like wrestling on it. And, wrestling was new and he kind of just brought it home and said, hey, I want to try this. And my dad always had one thing though. He said, whatever you're going to do in life, when you do something, you got to put your best foot forward. And, he sat my brother down and he's like, hey, is this something you want to do? And my brother's like, yeah, I really want to do it. So then after that, my dad went and found a local wrestling club near. So it's Mary Perry Wrestling Club. So we've been with them ever since. And my brother was wrestling at school. So he was training 5 to 6 times a week when he was in grade 6. So, and then while he was spending so much time there, obviously I just got dragged. I only have one brother. So, I was sitting at home maybe the first week. And then after that, I just started getting dragged along with him. And then, I think I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the sport of wrestling. I think the most important thing, though, is I fell in love with the process. When I went to the first practice, I was the worst guy there. I used to cry. I hated wrestling. I didn't like it. But I think I saw the changes in my behavior and me physically and mentally. That really made me love the sport of wrestling. And I think that's why I still love it so much today. I think you get to see those changes in yourself mentally and physically every single day. And you can see like the gaps you make. So I think that just like it's really rewarding, and it's nothing can beat that feeling in life. I feel like I think it's one of those things in life that you have to work hard for and overcome. There's money and those things can't buy those feelings. And I think that's one thing I really love about it.
That's awesome. Perks of being a younger brother and being put into things. So question. And that's just on our current state today. So I know today you're going for a tournament. You're leaving, I believe, this afternoon or evening. Talk to me a bit more about what is this tournament about, where are you going, and what can we expect?
Yeah, so I'm going to Poland today. It's another international tournament. So since Pan American Championships in May, every second weekend I've been flying overseas for a tournament. So I was in Italy, Turkey, Spain, and now Poland, and then Romania. And then our World Championships in Serbia. So they're all tournaments just to kind of get matches because this is Olympic years coming up. So you want to have a lot of competition. You want to make weight. You want to keep making weight and get your body used to that. And just every time you compete, you learn something. like I said, I'm almost 30 years old now, so I understand. I've trained hard my whole life. I know how to train now. I know how to wrestle. It's in my blood now. But I still think competition, you learn a lot more about yourself. You still learn about things that you may think that are working at practice and might not work in competition. So, competition is always good. And I've been going to Europe a lot because you don't see these Europeans too often. From going from Vancouver to Poland, I'm looking at like 15, 16 hours of flying time here. As in for them, they're looking at 30, 40 minutes. So they see each other every weekend. We see them maybe once a year. But I've took the initiative to change that. Canada Wrestling, as an organization, we might go overseas to Europe maybe once a year. But I took the initiative to do a lot of trips by myself this year because I want to be on that podium in Paris. And I want to make sure I cover all bases heading into Paris because I don't want any stones, unturned. I want to make sure that I did everything possible to be in the podium coming down to Paris. And I truly feel when you do everything possible in your hands, you never ever have any regrets, regardless of the result. I think you always keep your head held high because you did everything you possibly could.
100%. It's like control the controllable in a way. So question on that, and I've wondered about it because I've read, at multiple places. So, and I'm talking about the environment when you go to these competitions. So say, for example, when somebody's going to Olympics, you're in this Olympic village and you have surrounded by some of the top level athletes. I want to understand from you sort of what kind of conversations go around in that circle and what do you get to learn from these athletes?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think every athlete is unique in their own way. And I think those trips, like whenever I go to a trip, it's always like, man, I got to go again. Like, I don't want to go. It's like, man, I got to go again. Especially now I'm traveling by myself. Like, it's not fun. You're sitting there by yourself. You got to figure everything out and you're going to go. You got to meet other people from Canada when I get there. But when you get there, then it's like time flies because you have so many deep conversations with people because you're chasing the same dream, but we're all on different journeys. We all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different places. So it's inspiring, I would say. There's many wrestlers that have inspired me to be who I am today. So it's inspiring for sure. And I think when you meet other athletes, it's pretty cool to see, like, at Commonwealth Games, it was like a village. It was the same as Olympic Games. So it was like cool to see this different athletes, different sports, and see how they train. And every sport kind of has a different, pre-match kind of routine. The week of, some sports weren't doing anything, some sports are doing a lot. So it's cool to see what the difference is. But I think the most important thing is it's motivating. You'll see people at all different ages, and you'll see people that are still working full time. So you'll see a lot of different things, and it's really humbling as well to say, hey, like I can, like for me, growing up, like, I wasn't sure if I could wrestle for this long because no one had done it here in Canada, Indo-Canadian. But going overseas and seeing fellow U.S. athletes that were doing it inspired me. So I'm almost 30 years old, but I feel good. I can still wrestle for another 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I feel good. But I think that was inspiring. So if I didn't, meet people like that and have conversations with them, maybe I wouldn't be wrestling today. So I think it inspires us in a way as well.
Very interesting. So a question on that, just because you were hitting on the training regime, how does your training regime sort of differs when you are in these competitions as opposed to when you're not in competition and you're training at home? And I mean by that, like, what does the specific look like and how do you change things up?
Yeah, I would say right now, in between tournaments, it's still hard, but it's more dialing in on mistakes. Like the mistakes might have made in Spain. So I'm really going to dial in on those and the really specific practices. Okay, like, hey, 30, 40 minutes, we're going to be here. And it's really, everything's with a purpose. Even when I'm going to the gym, we make sure we're not lifting too heavy. And we're really, because the body's got to be ready to compete. So I got to be really smart with everything. When I'm not, no tournaments coming up, so training really hard. A lot of wrestling. Not just working on things. It's just like, okay, 20 minutes, just go wrestle. In the gym, it's okay, let's try to lift heavy. When I'm doing cardio, let's try to do a lot of sets. So it's different. I would say when I'm not wrestling tournaments, just trying to push myself every single day, kind of failure. Because that's the only way I'm going to simulate competition. So we're always trying to simulate competition. But when you actually have competition coming up, then you don't really have to simulate it as much because you got the competition coming up. So my goal now is to be ready to go Sunday morning. Nothing else matters. Like how much I run today, how much I lift today. it doesn't matter. I gotta make sure I turn the switch on Sunday. If I do everything right and I don't turn the switch off on Sunday, then that means that tournament wasn't a success. So I gotta make sure I'm just prepping the body for Sunday. But when there's no tournament on Sunday, then I'm just going. You're not prepping the body. Then you're just trying to get the most of it every single day.
And if I have to talk specific, so can you walk me through what does your routine look like? So from the time you get up, what are the first 2 hours? Is there a set routine in there? How many hours you spend in the gym in a day? And sort of what are your go-to exercises or training regimes?
Yeah, right now I'm in Minneapolis. So no, right now like I train out of Minneapolis, but I come back home part time. So when I'm in Minneapolis, that's where usually my base of my training is. We usually have practice 10 a.m. So I'll usually wake up at 7 a.m. I'll have some hydration mixes just to kind of make sure, because I'll be sweating a lot, so I don't want to be dehydrated. And I'll have like a Cliff Bars, and then I usually go for breakfast. And then at 10 a.m. is when I start practice. And we usually have a pretty good, intense practice. And 10 to 12, that's usually wrestling practice. So a lot of scrimmaging, a lot of working on things. Usually my coach there, Troy Steiner, a really successful U.S. wrestler, he'll usually spend 10, 20 minutes after practice working on what he thought I wasn't doing too well today or what he thought I was doing a good job of. So we'll usually spend that. I'll get out of there, then I'll have lunch, and then I'll come back. And usually there's something going on, like, a little bit work I have to do. And next thing you know, it's time to grab a coffee and then go into the second workout. Depending on the day, it could either be another wrestling practice or it'd be a weightlifting day. And when I'm weightlifting, it's usually some kind of clean, like a lot of power movement. And as I gotten older now, though, I don't lift too heavy. It's usually just keeping the weight fast. I'm trying to move the bar fast. A lot of medicine ball stuff. Because I want to keep the load off my body as much as possible. I don't need to put that extra stress on my body, but I also have to make sure I need to get what I need to get in the workout as well. So I'll do that, and then I go into kind of the same thing. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is usually the same. And then Wednesday mornings is when I do a hard run. Like I wake up and it's usually not fun and it sucks, but it's usually a hard run. And Saturday I usually just wrestle once. And then Sundays I usually take off. But yeah, that's usually what I do. But for me, I don't like Wednesdays because I don't like running. And
Okay.
Wednesdays usually a hard run.
Very interesting. So a lot of time spent, just in preparation for your big day.
Yeah.
Just want to talk while we're on this topic. Being from a Punjabi family, being from an Indian family, food is a big part of our culture. And how does that sort of play into your day to day? Being an athlete and being, you have to be at your top fitness level. So what does your diet looks like? Do you stay away from all like the good Indian food? and what is that? Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I would say I have a pretty strict diet. It was stricter before. It's still pretty strict, but before I was kind of just a pescatarian. And then now I started having more steak and chicken and stuff just because I was trying to gain some weight. But yeah, I haven't had Indian food in a long time. I might have like fish tikka or something once in a while, but that's like as far as I can go. I haven't had like butter chicken or anything long time. Yeah, so I haven't had an Indian diet in a long time, but to get anything you want in life, you got to sacrifice, right? So, I don't mind it. Like, I understand that I have my whole life ahead of me to do all that stuff. So, I don't mind it because right now I understand that, my focus in life is wrestling and reaching my goals. So, sometimes I do have to sacrifice. Every wedding or reception I've been to, I usually got to eat before. I haven't ate something at a reception in a long time, other than a glass of water. I might sneak in like one, laddu there and there, but that's about it. So I haven't done anything really. So like I said, to achieve something in life, you have to sacrifice. That's the game. So
that's awesome. What would be your cheat meal if you have one?
Yeah, my cheat meal, I would say usually is a Big Mac meal with a cheeseburger and a McChicken. That's usually my cheat meal. If I'm overseas somewhere and like we just had a good tournament and I wrestled well, and I'm happy with the way I wrestled, that's what I have. Usually before I board the plane, that's usually my cheat meal.
But awesome, good stuff.
Yeah.
So question on that. for let's say for somebody who's listening and who doesn't really understand wrestling, because I think a lot of times when you talk about wrestling, what comes to mind is UFC or WWE, but what you do is a completely different style of wrestling. So if you have to explain at a high level in about a minute or two, what are some of the rules to look out for, and what goes on into wrestling?
Yeah, so Olympic freestyle wrestling is 2 3-minute rounds. You take the person down, you get 2 points. You push them out, you get 1 point. If you take them down and expose their back, you get 2 more points. If you go feet to back, that's 4 points. And yeah, that's kind of, I'd say, the most of the rules are. But I'd say the most important thing I try to explain to someone, it's a fight. It doesn't look like it, but it's a fight. It's all mental warfare out there. Your physical abilities will only get you so far, and I truly believe wrestling is 90% mental, 10% physical. It may look the other way around, but it's not. It's more of a fight, and it's who concedes first. So that's how I tell someone: if there's a first day wrestling, but keep fighting, keep hanging on 1 second longer, because if you can hang on longer than another person, you'll probably win the match. It's really rare someone's really that much technically better than you. It's usually everyone's kind of the same. It's whoever goes out there and tries to win the match and tries to dominate usually wins the match.
Interesting. So question on that, and you raised that point beautifully there. A lot of times, we think about the physical aspect of wrestling and not as much as the mental aspect of it. How big is the mental toughness in wrestling, and how do you prepare yourself when it comes to mental toughness?
Yeah, I would say it's huge. Growing up in Canada, I don't think I saw it as much. As Canada wrestling wasn't as big. And I always knew wrestling mental was a huge part of it. And, I knew it, even growing up in Canada, I knew that it was still a big part. But when I started going to the United States to train, and I would say that was around 2011, 2012, and I've been going there ever since. And that was life-changing. To understand the things that they were doing and understand the mindset behind it, and just seeing how mentally strong some of those guys were, it really showed me that if you're not, all the successful wrestlers in the United States that were winning the world championships, winning the Olympic Games, all had one thing in common: they were mentally unbreakable. They just kept going, and I think it's the most important component, because in wrestling, there are a lot of things you have to go through. I'm 15 pounds overweight right now. I have to so I have to fly. And usually when you fly, you got to be so careful, because I can only drink water. If I have a little bit to eat, I'll gain extra weight, because, I'm going to land there 4 a.m. Vancouver time. So the weight I would lose sleeping, I won't lose it sleeping, because I'll be awake. So I got to make sure I don't eat much. And then when I get there, I only have 2 days to get jet lag out, to make weight, and to feel good. So wrestling, a lot of things that come into play. And sometimes when you go to these tournaments, there's not even a sauna. You just have to make the weight. You have to wear a sauna suit. And there's a lot of things you can't control. Some venues are going to be cold. Some venues are, amateur sports are a lot of different grind than the pro sports. Pro sports, NHL, for example, NBA, NFL, they're all done in one country, United States. They're all done in world-class facilities. These players are given everything. When you're an amateur athlete, you're going across the world, you don't know what you're going to see. You don't know what kind of hotel you're going to stay in. You don't know what kind of practice environments you're going to have. You don't know, and you don't know what kind of venue you're going to have. Everything is so crazy, and I've been doing this for 15 years, and I still don't know what I'm going to see. It's crazy. And then you got to get there, then you got to learn how to perform, and then you got to find some kind of food, and some tournaments, they don't even give you lunch. They said they're going to give you lunch, but they didn't. But there's nothing you can do about that. So you got to figure it out. So I think mental part is so big on and off the mat. There's so many things you're going to do. On one trip, off the mat, you're going to deal with 30, 20 things. And then on the mat, you're going to deal with another 15, 20, You got to cut the weight. Your legs might feel heavy. You might have a bad weight cut. In wrestling, you weigh in at 8 a.m., you wrestle at 10 a.m. There's only 2 hours. So you got to get your body going. So there's so many different things going on at once. And then you got to perform on that one day. It's not like MMA or, some of these sports, like I just said, NFL, NHL. You have playoffs over 2 months. You can afford to have one bad game. It's okay. You have 80 games in a season or something. But in wrestling, you can't afford to have a bad day. You need to, in the sport of wrestling, you find out who the best guy on that day is every single time. There's no, okay, let's have one match. I'll see you in a week. No. When I go on Sunday in Poland, we're going to find out who's number 1, number 2, and the bronze. We're going to find that out. There's no hiding around it. Every time you enter a tournament, you find out who the best guy is. Sometimes in UFC, the guy that holds the title usually sometimes not even the best guy. He'll just a matchup. And then he faces another guy who loses. But in wrestling, it's not like that. You find out who the best is every single time. And I think that's what I like about it. It's hard to be fake in the sport of wrestling, I would say. It's as real as it gets. Every time you go step on the mat, you get to find out how good you really are.
Interesting. So what is your meditation practice then? And what do you do? Do you do guided meditation? Do you do like solo meditation? What are the specifics of it?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say I do any guided or anything stuff like that, meditation. But I would say I like to listen to podcasts and stuff before tournaments or even when I'm flying, just to kind of put me in a good headspace. But there's no routine or anything that I have to do. I just kind of I just in my mind, I'm always grateful and thankful for God for everything He's given me, for sure. And I think just keeping that in my mind, but I think I do that 24/7, 365 anyway. And I think I'm always in a good headspace. So yeah, there's nothing specific that I would do for meditation or anything. But I think I just try to live a lifestyle where it's always there anyway. I would consider myself to be really grateful and blessed in life. So I think I'm always in a good headspace, and I think just I'm always ready to kind of wrestle. And I never overthink anything. I don't like to overstress a match. Like Sunday, I look at Sunday, for example, coming up now, is an opportunity. God's blessing me with the opportunity. Win or lose, I get to go out there and test myself. And I could care less about the results. I could care less. I just got to go out there and wrestle. I don't care about the opponents. I just care about myself. And I got to go and wrestle and do what I need to do, to work on the things I need to work on. As long as I do that, I'm happy with my performance.
If you have to look back on your career and pick out a particular stage that you'll call as your lowest point in your career, what would that be? And what did that teach you?
I would say lowest point recently, I would say it'd probably be like 2017. 2017, I had a really bad national championship. I was going to the tournament ranked second, and I had some shoulder issues, and I kind of had a couple things torn in there, and just went in there, and I didn't feel good in the tournament. I ended up losing 2 matches to 2 guys that I hadn't lost to before, and I never lost to them ever since then. But it was just a bad tournament. I didn't end up placing, and it was really, I was really down on myself. And the one thing it taught me though is it doesn't matter what happens to you. The only one that affects is you. And I think sometimes athletes or people, we forget that. I think we rely on others or sometimes even family and friends for support. But the day we realize that the family and friends are there just there to support, you are the one that's kind of driving the car. I think that's when you make big leaps in life. When you stop relying on others. No one is going to do it for you. And no one is going to understand it except you. That's simple as life gets. No one's going to understand your life but you. And no one's going to do it for you but you. And I think that time I really started realizing, hey, if I want to do this, I got to do it myself. No one's going to do it for me. So I'd always look at others for advice. But I would say I didn't get more stubborn after that. But I understood that it doesn't matter what anyone else says. At the end of the day, I'm the one that steps on the mat. So no one's words mean anything to me. Because I always tell kids now, until the day someone steps on the wrestling mat with you, what they say really doesn't matter. Right? Because they're not really coming on the mat with you. You just got to find what works for you. Because if you can do that, then you're going to be successful. So I think I figured that out at that age. And yeah, like I said, I figured it out as well that everyone else's life goes on. I was still stuck in that tournament probably for a good couple months, but everyone else's life goes on. Everyone else around you probably didn't remember the tournament. But you're still in that part. So that's another thing I learned is everyone's life's going to go on. Win or lose, you're the one that deals with it. Win or lose, Jasmit Singh Phulka is a person that has that on the record or attached to his name. Right? So I'm the one that's going to take ownership of it. Just like if something's attached to your name, it's your job to take ownership of it. So I think in 2017, I learned that. And I understood that. And I also understood that your loved ones are always going to tell you the things you want to hear. They'll always tell you it's okay and don't worry next time. But it's your job to understand that it's not always okay. You got to control what you can control and you got to do what you got to do. And I think after that, I took ownership of pretty much since then. I've been in the States training pretty much ever since then. I've been home for maybe a week at a time since 2018. But that's when I took that ownership. I made another leap. But you only make those leaps if you see ownership and you make decisions that are going to be uncomfortable. But if you don't take ownership and make those changes and, you rely on others, then you never involve them, I would say.
Yeah, I think you said it very beautifully. It's like taking that, not even ownership, but extreme ownership of your own life. You are responsible for your own self, and that's like the be all and end all of it. Just to flip the switch on that, what would you say is your highest point in your career, and what did that teach you?
I had a lot of highest points in my career. I would say growing up, it's been a good career. God's been good. But I would say I've had a lot of good points. I would say, obviously Commonwealth Games, taking a bronze medal was a good point in my life. I've even at the Senior Pan Ams recently, silver medal. I got to wrestle one of the best wrestlers of all time, Jordan Bros. That was always one of my goals in life. I wanted to wrestle him, so I got to do that. But I would say my highest point, actually, one of my highest points, I always like to bring it back to is my 2010 Youth Commonwealth Championship gold medal. Because it's my first ever international medal. It's my first ever international tournament. I got a gold medal. And I got outstanding wrestler of the event. And it was unreal. Like when I came back, family and friends were at the airport. And I still remember my dad was in the stands there. And I still remember how excited he was when I won. The reason I always like to say that is because, I've won way more, meaningful medals since then. I took bronze Olympic qualifier. All that's been more meaningful. But that one is always special to me because it was my first one, right? It's my first ever gold medal in an international tournament. But also, it was Canada's first ever gold medal and outstanding wrestler at the same tournament. So I kind of made history in that way as well. So there's a bunch of things that happened there. But also, I saw the success of my hard work. And I remember going to school and they had like the Jasmit burger, the Phulka fries. I was like signing autographs at lunch. So like, I was first time I felt like a celebrity, but also like I saw how much like the community was supporting me. And it really opened my eyes up. Like, hey, like if you're good at this thing, like this is how you're going to be treated. This is how life can be. Like if you keep pursuing and you keep working hard, like, hey, like this is, God gave me a little piece of the pie that day. And I understood, hey, like, if I keep working hard, yeah, like there is, I might not make millions of dollars wrestling, but people are giving me respect. People are being, and I really noticed that at that age. I was in grade 11 at that time. And it showed me that. And sometimes as a young kid, you don't see it. Wrestling's not a glamorous sport. You don't see it on TV every day. You don't, my friends and peers didn't know what it was. And everyone talk about basketball, right? Or football. And that's the first time my friends and peers started just kind of like wrestling. Said, oh man, like you went Commonwealth, you won, that's crazy. You made history. And then I was like, oh, like then they started showing me, more respect. And I was like, oh, hey, like I am on the right path. And, so it was a wording. And I think it was different. Anytime you get to go out there and compete and represent Canada, and whenever you win a gold medal for Canada, they always play the anthem. So that was cool. There's a lot of cool things, a lot of, special moments in that day. And being so young, experience all that, it was just a blessing.
That's awesome. I was listening into that story of you winning that first medal, and in there somewhere it was you went with your dad to McDonald's after the game, and then you were announced the best wrestler, the best youth wrestler, and you guys had to go back to get that. So yeah. I find that beautiful story, and being that young and getting that kind of exposure, it can mean the world to somebody, and that encouragement. Question on something I heard you talking about, the weight fluctuation. So I was reading, and you have participated all the way from 84 kgs to 74 kg, which in competitive sports is a big difference, right? So how does that sort of flow into where you want to be, and how do you decide which category is best suited for you?
Yeah, so I was 84, 86 kilos. I won right after high school. Went up weight class. I won junior nationals. I was having success. But I truly understood that I was light. I was like 84, 83 kilos, but I was like eating like pizza. Like I wasn't having the best diet back then. I was young. And I would eat whatever I wanted. And I truly understood that if I want to step on the Olympic podium one day, you got to sacrifice. It comes back to sacrifice. All the guys that are going to be that were on the Olympic podium in Tokyo, all were sacrificing. all of them were cutting 10, 15 pounds. The guys that are wrestling 84, 85 kilos were probably 6'3", naturally 200 pounds. And they're coming down to 185. And Alm was, 6 foot, but trying to bulk up to 185. So realistically, it comes back to being realistic. I'm not going to beat the best guy in the world with giving up 15 pounds. I may, but it's not putting me in good odds. But I understood that at 74 kilos, it made me live a better lifestyle. It made me come down. And it made me work harder and kind of make my whole lifestyle more intense. Having a better diet, working out harder. And then I also truly feel I can be the best in the world at 74 kilos. And, and I like the challenge. I think in wrestling, it's safe to say 74 kilos is the hardest weight class. People don't usually go down a weight class. They usually go up a weight class because it's easier. But I chose to go down a weight class, and I chose to go to 74 kilos because I want to wrestle in the hardest weight class. I want to wrestle the best guys. I take pride in wrestling I think the 3 best guys in my era of wrestling the last decade, I've had a chance to wrestle. So I take pride in that kind of stuff. I want to wrestle the toughest guys, and I want to wrestle in the toughest weight class. Because I truly believe when you do that, that makes you the toughest person. I don't care about medals. I know I can go up heavier. Heavier you go, easier it gets. But I'm not here to chase medals. I'm here to chase a legacy. Now, legacy only happens by doing the things the hard way and doing it at the hardest weight class.
Who do you consider the toughest opponent in the circuit today?
I would say everyone's tough. I would say they're all tough in their own unique way. Everyone's tough. So like I said, I got a chance to wrestle 3 tough opponents. Like I wrestled Kyle Dake from the U.S. He's a 74 kilo, couple-time world champion now. He's really good, and he's a favorite to win this year's Worlds again. He was different. He was more kind of explosive, but he's really tactical. And, he was kind of different to wrestle. I wrestled Zedekov, the Russian Olympic champion. He was a little bit different. He wasn't as strong, but he was consistent. He was on you for 6 minutes. It was different. Like, it's hard to wrestle. And then I also got to wrestle one of the best wrestlers of all time, Jordan Burroughs. And he was the most explosive wrestler I ever wrestled. And his mad IQ was so good. You can't even blink without him being on. He was really smart. He was a really good wrestler. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good his mad IQ is. So all 3 of those guys are tough in all different ways. But I'd say the most important thing is they're good at something and they find a way to get there. That's the key right there. Are they better than me in all areas? Probably not. But that doesn't matter because they're just going where they're better than me and they're just wrestling there. So I think that's the key I learned from them. I think if we redo those matches, the matches will go different. But at those matches, they got to where they need to get to and they got to win. So I think the best wrestlers or the best opponents are the ones that just wrestle in their wheelhouse and find a way to get there. I think that's the key.
So play to your strengths. Question on that, and this is just out of curiosity. What is doping exactly? A lot of times we hear this term flying around, but if you have to explain it to somebody, what exactly it is and how does it enhance one's performance? I've heard some of your previous interviews where you've claimed that you don't use any of these substances, you're 100% clean. What do you see out there with some of the other athletes? Is this a problem? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say it's a huge problem, especially nowadays because everything's so easy to get. But I would say doping is when people are taking like steroids, or some people even take EPO now for better stamina. There's so many things out there now. I think the guy just tested positive at our Canadian Nationals in 74 kilos. Just came out 2 weeks ago for steroids. So it's clear that people are still doing it. I had another guy test positive last year while I was wrestling him. I actually wrestled him while he was positive, but it came out later. So, just in the last 2 years, 2 guys in my weight class have tested positive. And there's probably like 2-3 more guys that are doing things that I haven't tested positive yet. But that's just the nature of the game. I could care less. There's a lot of people doping. They have doped. And some of them are doped when they're at a younger age. And now they probably won't test positive. But in 10, 15 years, we'll see it. It will be evident. I'll be sitting here still fine, still doing the same thing. And they'll be 15 years, kind of not be the same part in life. And, life's a long game. Life's a long game. Wrestling is like I said, you don't get rich from wrestling. Wrestling is just a sport, and it's just supposed to enhance your life, your quality of life, and give you tools to be successful in life. And I think these guys are forgetting that. They think wrestling is life, and they don't understand that there's life after wrestling. And when they figure that out, it's too late. And it's happening here in Canada. It's happening here in BC. It's happening here in the Lower Mainland more than ever. And it's been happening here for a long time, probably for the last 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years. And I don't see it going away anytime soon. And it's happening across the world as well. You go in these tournaments, everyone knows Russia is notorious for doping. And I think it's not just Russia. I think it's a lot of these countries. And some of those countries I sometimes understand because they need to win to put food on the table for their family. For them, it's not just a wrestling match. It's how do I, because in those countries, like when you medal and stuff, you get jobs, you get paid. So for them, it's like a job. It's their life, right? But here in Canada, I don't get it. I don't get it why people do it because you don't get anything from it. Like you get a medal and, sometimes so average society doesn't even know or care to know what medal it is. So I don't see why people dope, but I also just think it's not the right thing to do because, like I said, if you take shortcuts in life, I truly believe you'll hit roadblock one day. And the sad thing is people that take the shortcuts will never be truly, I would say they'll never be truly confident in themselves. They'll never have the ability to sit here and talk, and they'll always kind of be shy. They'll always be hiding because they know deep inside they've cheated. Like I said, it comes back to the same principle. I could care less about my results. Like I could care less about them because I like the fact that I worked hard and I overcome myself. I was someone that started wrestling at 10 years old and, was shy, I slept in the nightlight. I was like a mama's boy. I would try to get my mom to come in the soccer field with me. I couldn't travel by myself. I never flew a plane by myself, went on a plane by myself. All those things was like give me anxiety. And I'm sitting here, someone that's conquered all of them. Right? So I could care less about the results. I've conquered myself and I've conquered my, I've conquered my, who I was before. And, I've done that through hard work and dedication. You can win an Olympic gold medal, but if you took steroids, deep inside, in the mirror that you're a coward. You don't deserve it. You can lose your first match and not even make the Olympics. You're still a champion. I don't think results determine who you are. It's the lifestyle and the things you do that determine who you are. You can sell drugs and, make a big mansion and have a Lamborghini. Does that make you rich? I don't think so. What you did to get there speaks of who you are. But you can work a 8 to 4 job every single day of your life and you can drive, a 2000 Honda and it can barely be running. In my mind, you're still successful and I still consider you a champion in life. Because you're doing what you ever going to do to put food on the table and you're providing for your family. But if you're taking shortcuts and wearing flashy clothes, I have no respect for you. But that's how I live my life. And there's some people that may not live their life like that. And in the sport of wrestling, there's a lot of people that don't. They don't care about any of that. They just want to get the next win, and that's how they live their life. But either they'll pay for it. You can't run away from life. You can't run away. It's a long game.
Yeah, I love your thought process there for a couple of things. Like one, the perspective that you have on some of these athletes from not the top nations, right? And what it means for them. It's not just a sport, it's a livelihood. And hence they make the decisions that they make. So I love that piece. And the second piece is it's the process that counts and the result is a byproduct of it, right? So I love how you are so diligent in that thought process. Let's go back in time. You started wrestling at 10. Talk to me about because I moved to Canada in 2010. So how was it back in the 90s? How was the wrestling infrastructure? What was the support like? And you grew up in Abbotsford. So talk to me about it.
Yeah, so I grew up in Abbotsford. I grew up and when I started with Mary Prairie Wrestling Club, and I would say the sport's always been really good. Like I had really good friends that I made through there that are still my friends today. I think as a club, we're really close, and those are my friends, I think, for life. Yeah, like I remember growing up, like it was like we had our own little unit of, like my friends at school never understood it. Never understood wrestling, they never will. They're like, why is this guy getting out? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's so hard, right? But like my friends, I think it was good growing up. Like it was good because we had a lot of tournaments back then. Like I feel like we had more tournaments back then than we did today. I think that facilities and the things in plan were better than today. And that's kind of sad because I don't think the sport of wrestling has grown and evolved. The things I had as a kid growing up, kids now don't have. And I think that's the people that are in leadership aren't doing a good job, because I had way more opportunities. I had chances to, even travel the world when I was in high school. I had chances to, when I was 10, 11, 12, wrestle so many tournaments. Every weekend we had a tournament. There's like Punjabi tournaments, like with kabaddi and stuff, and we had tournaments now we don't see that as much. I don't feel like people, there's not enough going on for kids. I think kids need more tournaments. And yeah, like I said, we had a good unit of people though. Like my good friends, they're still my friends today. Like I still remember like one of my good friends, Hardeep Kaler, he's one of my first friends I made in the sport of wrestling. He's my good friend today, but he showed me a lot of things about work ethic. Now, a story I want to share is when we were I lost a match once, and it lost to a guy that had broken his leg, and he's from our club. And a month later, he came to train me. He hadn't trained, so I thought, in my mind, I'm going to beat this guy. He just came back from an injury, and I lost. I remember crying in the bathroom, and Hardeep came to me and he said, and he's like, he came in the bathroom stall next to me. I still remember this, and he's like talking to me through the thing, and he says, "Hey, he's like, why are you crying?" I was like, "No, I lost." Well, or he's like, you didn't train hard enough. He's like, God will only give you what you deserve. And like, we're in grade 4, grade 5. He's 3 years older than me. He's probably like grade 7, grade 8. But it was like one of the best advice and one of the most like, he had a lot of like wisdom for that age, I would say. Like he gave me that advice that's saying, God only gives you what you want to earn and you need to work harder than. Why are you crying? Like you have tomorrow. Like today wasn't the end of the day, the end of your life. You still have tomorrow. And I remember I worked so hard for 2 weeks and ended up beating that guy 2 weeks later. The reason I share that story is because it instilled in me that, hey, win or lose or things don't go harder in life, just work harder. You'll figure it out. And, I got a chance to meet him. So, like, he said, and I got a lot of my friends. Like, I still remember my good friends, Gurman and Roger and Gil. Like, I remember we used to go to, we had a gym right across my house in a track. We used to go there every morning at 5 a.m. Every morning, like we'd be there. Like people in the gym knew we were going to be there, and we laugh about it now. But we used to spend like 3 hours there, 4 hours there sometimes in the evenings. We'd go twice a day, even as kids, and like we'd spend so much time there, and like it was like our second home. And like when we were bored, we'd go play basketball. Like we never played video games. That wasn't just the thing back then. It was just we'd always wanted to do something. And I think we had all had good like a unit of friends, and like. Just like I remember one of my friends, Garbage Gil, he used to come from like other side of town just to come work out with us because we had like our thing going. So it was good. Like I'd say all of us are really successful people now, and I think we had a good group of guys growing up that were really pushing each other every single day, and like like I've always had a good friend group like that that's always supported me, and like it's always been good, and I think I'm grateful growing up like that, and like it's been grateful. Like right now, like I went to India for a tournament last year. And one of my friends, Navi Tour, he came with me just to come to like help me warm up and just kind of chill. He came all the way to India with me. And so like, I think I say I'm really grateful, and I had really good friends, and they've always been supportive. And they always support me today too. And like I always say, we wrestle together. When I go out there, there's more than just me there. There's a lot of us out there. It's just not my dream; it's our dream.
That's you summed it up perfectly here, and what I liked what you were talking about. There's a thought that comes into my mind is like life happens to us, not for us. You still have to go make it happen and make it work for you. So I think that was the message there. I have a hypothetical situation for you, and this is just to kind of pick how your brain works and what would it look like. So in a hypothetical world, say, for example, we are competing for a competition, and by we, I mean you and myself. You have to train me for this wrestling competition where the prize money is, let's say, $1 million. We have 3 months to prepare for it, so roughly about 12 weeks. How are you going to train me? What is that routine going to look like? What am I eating? How are we going to win this competition?
I'd say you'd be eating pretty clean. I think you'd be waking up, having like a Cliff Bar, like same thing as me, having a coffee, and then having your eggs after workout, eggs, toast, hash browns, avocado, and then having lunch, maybe a sandwich, and then before the second workout, maybe some oatmeal, coffee, like a Laura bar. Then workout again. Then after that, we'd probably have like steak or whatever, protein, veggies, and rice, and then probably have some yogurt, granola, and go to sleep. But I think the most crucial thing would be the first 2 months we would take you to the unknown. We take you to the room that you don't want to be in. I think we try to break you mentally as much as we possibly can, and just show. I'd say try to get you to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that would be the key. Push yourself, push your limits. Take you to places you've never gone, and really put it on you. And in the last month, it would just be build you back up. The first 2 months would be just hard, and then the third month you'd be in better shape, so all your numbers would be coming up. Mentally, you'd be feeling good, and I would be telling you every day that you're the champion. You're gonna go kill someone, and I think after maybe 20 days, you'd be ready to do it. But I think it's a process. I think you got to put in the time, you got to put in the hours, you got to put in the work, and once you've done all that, then you need someone there to build you up. You need someone there in your head, because as an athlete, your head starts spinning crazy. Closer you get. You can do everything right, but sometimes you're just second guessing yourself. So you need that as well. Someone to help you and pump you up, and then I think you'd be ready to go.
Interesting. Sounds like I'm ready to go. I just need somebody to give us that prize money here. Jasmit, question on that, and I'll give you some context behind this question. I have mad respect for athletes. I have such admiration for them, and I'll give you the reason why. Is what I think is when you compare an athlete with, let's say, another live performer, in a sport, there is another party, an individual who is as trained as you are, and their sole purpose is to win the competition, which is your sole purpose as well, but only one of you is going to win. So when you are preparing for these competitions, let's say Commonwealth Games or Olympics in the future here, when you get to the arena till the time you get to the mat, whether that's an hour, 2 hour, what is going through your head? Do you have a set routine of, this is what I do first, this is what I'm thinking, I'm listening to this music? Do you have any superstitions? Walk me through with that.
I would say no, not really. I'd say I think I'm doing it for so long. I think when I was younger, maybe I had things. I've done it for so long. I think I do a good job of turning the switch. I can be sitting here talking to you, and 5 minutes later, I can go and wrestle. I think I'm pretty good at that now, and I think, I have a warm up for sure. Like, I get to the arena, I like to see the arena first. I need to know where the bathroom is, where the warm up mats are, where I go compete. I like to know where that is. Obviously, I like to get a good warm up in. But like I said, some tournaments you don't get a chance to warm up. Like, they give you the mat for 5 minutes and the tournament starts. So there's no set thing, because, like I said, in amateur sports, if you're set on certain things, you maybe like, there's some people like some guys that go to the tournament for the first time, they're running around like a chicken got their head cut off, like, what's going on, and then they don't have a good tournament. To be a performer, especially at amateur sports, you gotta be ready to go whenever. You can't rely on certain things. The only thing you can rely on is yourself. So I'd say the only thing I do is, like, I do a good job talking to myself, and that's it. But warming up and all these things, like, that's a bonus in these tournaments. Like, if I get a chance, then I like to listen to music now. Like, I added that in, like, before my matches. I like to put some music on. But other than that, I just stay calm and collected. And most importantly, I just remind myself why I'm here. And why do I do this? Why am I here? What am I here for? And, that usually pumps me up, gets me in a good headspace, and then I'm ready to wrestle.
I saw you on the closing ceremony of Commonwealth Games. There's a snippet of you walking at the closing ceremony, and you have a turban on. At that point, you're not just representing yourself, but you're representing a larger community. What does that mean to you? And representing the larger community, what sort of emotions run through you?
Like I said, I think that's a true blessing in life. That's something money can never buy. That's something that money can never buy. It doesn't matter how much money you get in life, you can't buy that. I went to the Commonwealth Games as an athlete. I went there to go wrestle my hardest. And there were some people that even won the Commonwealth Games, and I took bronze. I lost a tight match where I still think I should have won. And the fans there loved me, though. I made so many fans. Like, there's people winning, but I was still making more fans. And there was a Sikh channel was a group's name. And they came up to me, they interviewed me before the Commonwealth Games. They had followed me through social media, and they said that I wrestled like a true Sikh, and they wanted to try turban on me. And I was caught off guard, and I was like debating it at first. So I was like, should I even do this? Like, and they called me out and they did it, and I'm glad I did it, because it's the best moment of my life. When medals come and go, but that is something I'll never forget. like I said, I got a chance to represent my community, my faith, my religion, my culture on a big, grand scheme of things. And I think I did that proudly. And I think it's different. Like, if you plan something like that, like, hey, like, yeah, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna wear that. Like, yeah, it's still cool, but it's different. Like, you had it just in the back of your mind. You still knew you were gonna do it. But getting someone to do it to you, like getting a group, like, of people saying that you should do this because you represent us with pride and honor. Like, we're proud that you're a Sikh and you represent. I think that is just a feeling that, like I said, money can't buy that. Like, I didn't have this thought on me. Like, they bought everything. Like, that was not something I had planned. They brought everything, and like they sat me down in the Commonwealth Games Village and they tied it. And it was just like it was a blessing, but it also showed me like I carry a lot of weight on my shoulders. Like, it was like one of the things where I woke up, like, hey, like, I made a promise to myself that day when I said, hey, if you're gonna tie this, like, this is a weight that you gotta carry. And you gotta be ready to fill these shoes, because when I tied that, I made a promise to myself, I'm gonna be the best ambassador for the Sikh community I could possibly be. Not just at the Commonwealth Games. I just thought it means more than that to me. And I understood that going forward in my career, that, hey, I gotta carry this with honor. And, I think I do a good job of that, but I think it all came down to, it was a special moment. And whenever I wrestled in the world, I've always wrestled Jasmit Singh Phulka. I make sure I always add that in there. And I always want to represent the community. Like I said, at 74 kilos, under at heavyweight, 97 and heavyweight, has 6, we always had success. As I can go back and we always had success in the heavyweights. We never had anyone under those weights make the national team. And I'm the only one to ever make it in history, I think, at 74 kilos. And, I hopefully there's more kids that come behind me and do that. But as of right now, I don't really see any coming through. But I hope some come through. But like I said, it's not easy. It's hard. And, a lot of people told me, even coaches told me that, it's like, you should go heavier because that's usually where Indians have success. And I paved the way. But I want them to know, like, Jasmit Singh Phulka, Singh's here now at 74 kilos. I'm here and I'm proud of that. And I like to carry that with honor all across the world.
That's wonderful. So just a question on that. There's a point that you touched on, and we were talking about the state of wrestling in Canada. If you can make a few changes and you were allowed to do so, what would be the top 3 changes that you think are necessary at this given time in the world of wrestling?
I think we need a lot more funding, number one. There's no way I need more funding. But I think more important than that, you got to clean out all the garbage. You know what I mean? By cleaning out all the garbage, get all the guys that are doping out. There's some that doped in the past and now on the senior teams that it's out of their system. Get them out. What kind of example are those for children? You're showing that cheaters can win. It's not an example you want. Get all the garbage out. Add some more funding. And thirdly, I would say, give these kids more chances. I have kids at my wrestling club right now. I was actually working with them last night, and they haven't had a chance to compete. They need to compete more, and they train so hard. Like I said, they're inspiring me. When I love to go back to my wrestling club and work with. When I was older, I could never see myself coaching, and I could never see myself work with like kids. Like, I was like, man, if I ever coach, I got to be like the high level athletes, right? Because it's easy to teach them. Okay, like, you need to fix this or fix this. And I started getting involved this year and last year more with my wrestling club. I started mentoring these 2 kids, Gersher and Amral. They had a really good year this year. They won BCs and medal at nationals, really good wrestlers. They work hard. And I really like mentoring them. But that's like the youngest I thought I could ever go. But I don't know from where, like, after like just recently, these last like 2 months, like, I started working with the little kids because I feel like they're such student of the sports. Like, they work so hard, and they're always happy to be there, and they're always like they're more students of the sports. I feel like they always say, "Hey, I saw this interview, I saw this." So they're sitting there because they're young. They're probably sitting there just googling me, figuring out what I'm doing. So it's kind of cute, but it was also like it's also showing, hey, like, what you're doing is just making a difference. And it also comes back to that. Like, I wear that weight with honor. I understand what I do every day in my life. Like, these kids are watching them. So it comes back to, I got to lead by example. But yeah, so I think those 3 changes, though: more funding, take the garbage out, and get youth more tournaments.
So question on that. And when I was doing my research about you, a part that stood out to me is how much support you had from your family. So whether that's your dad, your brother, your mother, what is your message to anyone who's listening who might have kids that are interested in sports? How should they treat it? How should they approach it? What are your 2 bits on it?
I would say number one is sacrifice to the parents. I see a lot of parents that are hypocrites in their own ways. They're saying, "Oh, my kid doesn't do this, or you gotta come here," but then they're going on vacations every second weekend. They don't want to do. They don't want to spend time. Their kids are missing practices because they had their own obligations. This wedding came up. My parents sacrificed everything they had for me to get this position. Without my parents' sacrifice, I'm not here. That's no brainer. You have to sacrifice. You have to provide everything for your kids. You have to give them the best opportunity to be successful. You have to make sure you're feeding them well. It's easy to get chicken nuggets from Costco and just put them in the oven. That's easy. But then again, you're not sacrificing your time. Are you making the food fresh for your kids every single day? Are you making sure, my mom used to wake up at 3, 4 a.m. and give me a shake when I was trying to gain weight. Are you doing, my dad worked over and over. He used to go to work. We have our own nursery, one of the biggest wholesalers in Canada right now, Maple Leaf Nursery. And my dad worked hard to build that from the ground up. He had no help. He had never even run a nursery ever. He came from India and he had a dream and a vision and he conquered it. And that's something he did. But the reason I share that is because he came and sat on the mat from 6 to 8 p.m. 4 times a week as well. He worked, then he came and sat on the mat. He didn't just drop us off and go home and come back and pick us up. He sat on the mats, and they're not comfortable, for 2 hours after an 8-10 hour day of work. And then he sat on a mat and watched us wrestle. Then he came home, and then he gave us counseling. That, hey, that you did this. But he never overstepped and said, hey, this is how you wrestle. He's never wrestled. But he'd give us motivation and prep and explain his struggle in life and explain how you got to work hard. All that works to become a successful product. It just doesn't happen by fluke. Success is a planned design. And I feel like parents listening, they got to understand that they got to be willing to sacrifice. They got to stop taking these vacations. They got to put more time into the kids. Then the kids will put more time into themselves. I worked out by myself in the morning at a young age, grade 7, grade 8. But my dad also woke up at 5 a.m. every day, single day for work. My dad also used to run 20 minutes on speed. I remember speed 7 every day. He's 60 years old now, and he still lifted a stone in our village over 120 kilos. He still leads by example. He still works out at the gym every single day. The examples you see in your kid are going to be the example at home, or the example you're going to see. They're going to go into your kid. It's a planned event. It just doesn't just happen. I just didn't start waking up one day and say, hey, I should do this. It's obviously I saw my dad, the struggles, the hard work he was putting in, that I understood, hey, I should do this too. So that's what I would say to parents. Lead by example, number one. Number 2 is sacrifice. If you're not sacrificing, your kids aren't going to sacrifice. And number 3, I would add in is try to live a simple life. Life's too complex now. Stop worrying about designer clothes and fancy cars. Because I'm telling you right now, your life's only going to get harder because your kids are going to want the exact same thing. And you got to keep providing that for them. But you are feeding them that first. You can't give a kid sugar one day and hope he doesn't want sugar after. If you feed it to him, he's going to want it. So my thing is, stop worrying about cars and houses and designer clothes. I'm telling you, the biggest thing your kid can ever wear is represent you with honor. Represent you. When people come up to you and say, hey, your kid's done a good job, we're proud of your kid. That's the best feeling. Not, oh, my kid drives a Ferrari or my kid drives a Lamborghini. What's that mean? Right? So I think work for the things that matter in life. In society, we've gone I think in society, we focus too much on things that don't matter anymore. So I think just focus on that. Just focus on raising your kids and helping them, supporting them, and helping them achieve their dreams. And don't worry about, artificial things.
I couldn't have put it better. Kids don't do what you say; kids do what they see, and that's what I believe in. Just switching gears here, Jasmit, you are an avid community worker. There's a lot of community work that you do. Through your toy drive, you have raised thousands and thousands of dollars. Talk to me a little bit about that. How does community work fits into who Jasmit Singh is, and where does that motivation comes from?
I think the community's, first of all, given me so much. So it's obviously, I always want to give back. But most importantly, I think I always try to say it now is when I was young, like when I won Commonwealth championships in 2010, I was just pumped I won. I didn't care about anything else. I won, right? I went to school. I was a champion. But as I got older and older, like the more medals I got, I think I've 23 international medals to date. And, had a successful career. But the more I got those, the more I understood that, some people don't even have one. And they wrestle until like 24, 25. Some people have like two. But I've had so many. Then I used to think, like, why God? But then I understood God gave me these for a reason. I truly believe God gave me this platform through wrestling for a bigger purpose. I truly believe when I leave this earth, I'm going to be bigger. I'm going to be bigger than the sport of wrestling. I'm going to be remembered for a bigger purpose than the sport of wrestling. I don't want to be remembered just in the wrestling crowd or the bleachers at a wrestling tournament. I want to be remembered forever in, bigger grand scheme events and, for a person that done something for the community, for the world, left a bigger legacy. And I think I understood that God put me for a bigger purpose. I understood that he wanted me to use my platform through wrestling to help kids and leave a difference. And that's when I think I started getting involved in community more, volunteering at Canucks Place, and just really understanding that children were fighting just to see another day. And I'm worried about a wrestling tournament. It put life in perspective for me, but it also showed me that, hey, like, there's so much else going on in the world, and I want to make a difference. I want to leave a bigger impact, and I want to use the resources and the platform that I've used through our wrestling to do that. Like I said, now, like when I go to the club, kids are always telling me, I saw this video of you. Well, I can make an impact on their lives because right now they're looking up to me as a role model, right? So now it's my job to make that impact on them. Lead by example. Go to practice. I usually work harder and show them, hey, like he still works hard. He still does all this. I try to do the community work and get the club involved as much and get the youth involved with me. So then they'll be leaders in their classes and we'll get more and more leaders out there. So, but I think the community work is necessary to, because I think the community did do a lot for me. And like I said, I want to leave a bigger purpose. And like I said, I've had a great friend group since day one. This toy drive, we raised over $65,000. But like I said, I've had like first year I did it by myself with my Maple Leaf Nursery with my family's company. The second year I did it with my good friend Garaj Gill, and the third year I did it with my good friends Raj and Garaj. But it comes back to it, like I've always had a good friend group with me. They've always helped me and supported me throughout everything. So it wouldn't be possible without their support, obviously. And I think, like I said, I truly believe I'm on this earth for a bigger purpose. And that's what I'm trying to achieve right now. I'm trying to be bigger than the sport of wrestling. If I want to leave a bigger purpose, I got to branch out and I got to do more things than just the sport of wrestling. And the toy drive is one of those. And I try to do as many things I can in the community. And I feel like whenever the community's ever needed me in an episode, whether it was the pandemic, I dropped over, I remember, $100 of pizza for the hospital. During the floods, I dropped over 100 boxes of pizza. So whenever the community needs me, Jasmit Singh Phulka is there. And I think Abbotsford knows that, and it'll always be like.
That's wonderful. What does future look like for Jasmit Singh Phulka in wrestling right now? What do you have coming up in the pipeline?
So I have this biggest tournament coming up now. Like I have obviously a couple of tournaments in Romania and stuff, and senior world championships in Belgrade, Serbia. And I feel good. Canada hasn't had a medal in 30 years, but I think this year is going to be a good year. I think I'm going to do it. I feel good. I feel comfortable, and I feel confident. And then after that, we'll have Olympic trials in December, and then we'll have the Olympic Games in Paris in the summer. And after that, I think LA 2028 for sure. I see myself in LA 2028 for sure. Wrestling there, and we'll see what the future holds after that. I don't know. I can wrestle after that. We'll see. But I feel good. I feel strong. I feel fast, and I love what I do. And why not keep doing it, right?
100%. Jasmit, I can sit here and talk to you, I feel like, all day, but in spirit of time, we have to wrap this up. I just have a quick rapid fire round for you. Just a few questions, just a one-line answer from you, no explanation necessary. What is your favorite book?
Mind Gym.
And who is it by?
I don't remember who it's by, but I've read it multiple times.
Okay. What is your favorite purchase of $100 or less in the last year?
Wrestling shoes.
Awesome. If you could put anything on a billboard for the whole world to see, what would you say?
You get what you earn.
Awesome. What is a strange habit that Jasmit Singh Phulka has?
OCD, discipline, too much, focus, always.
Awesome. What's a bad advice that you hear in your profession?
Bad advice?
Mm-hmm.
Take shortcuts.
Awesome. Perfect. That's all the questions I had for you today, Jasmit. It's been a pleasure to sit down with you, chat with you, and just to understand, how you go about your things. I wish you nothing but success in your future endeavors. I can't wait till you make the Olympics trials and then on the Olympic stage. Just know I'll be rooting for you, and the entire community would be rooting for you. Before we let you go, any final words, any parting thoughts?
No, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you. Most importantly, to anyone watching, I just want to say, I had a dream. I was I was 10 years old in grade 4. I had a dream, and I can proudly say I'm living my dream today. It's been a blessing, and I'm blessed God for every day. But I truly believe that, those dreams I had, I did it more than those actually. So it is possible. There were dreams one day, and I think I've already, now I'm awake, and I'm still in there. I've done, like, I thought I would be doing this, and I've done it. So I just want to say, sometimes when you're young and you hear people say that, and you might think it's cliche, or no, that's not gonna, no, that can't happen to me. I was one of those kids, and it happened to me. I wasn't the most gifted athlete. I wasn't someone that coaches thought wasn't going to Olympics or nothing. I paid my own way. No one believed in me but me, and maybe my family. But other than that, I had zero support. No one said this guy's gonna become something. But one thing I want to say is, when you become something, everyone jumps on board. But the day you don't, they're gonna jump back off. So that's life, though. But as long as you deep inside believe you're gonna become something, that's all that matters. And I'm a living example of that.
That's awesome. That's a beautiful message. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Jasmit Singh Phulka.